Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film in cinemas, Love in a Pandemic. Now, Love in a Pandemic is a drama about Bolanle, a young customer care representative who is trying to keep her job and her boyfriend during the 2020 lockdown. Now, this is an issue because her boyfriend is a medical doctor, and as we know, in 2020, the medical profession was under a lot of strain during the quarantine. So she's trying to, maintain the relationship she has with him and also keep her job at the same time. And it's a bit of a challenge for her. Now, I was looking forward to this film because of the title. Lockdown and, quarantine and all that was it was something that we all experienced, right? So I was looking forward to see how relatable this film would be. And to be honest, relationships were under enormous strain and pressure during that time because, lovers and boyfriends and girlfriends and whatnot could not see each other because they were separated and everyone was at home in quarantine and whatnot. So I was looking forward to seeing how they would capture all of that in the movie. I was also looking forward to the film because Nancy Isime is in it. And as those of you who've been watching my reviews know, I'm a big Nancy Isime fan. Saying that we've talked about Nancy Isime, let's dive into it and talk about the performances in this film, Love in a Pandemic. The film once again stars Nancy Isime, Deyemi, Okalawon, Teni, Aladese, Eso Dike, and Uche Montana. Now, their performances generally were just all right. I had a challenge though with the line delivery most of the time, and in fact, right from the beginning of the movie, when Nancy's character Bolanle is giving a monologue, it felt very mechanical, not just then, but in many other instances in the film. When she was talking and delivering her lines, it felt like she was reading straight out of, the script. That happened in a few instances. And incidentally, not just with Nancy's character, if I should add, it happened with a few of the other primary and secondary characters in this movie. However, surprisingly, the performances in the film weren't too bad. Nancy she delivered. I wasn't seeing Nancy, I was seeing this character, Bolanle. So basically, Nancy did do a good job with her performance, and so did Deyemi, because the concern I have with Deyemi as well is that because I've seen him in so many other things, I'm worried that I'll just be seeing the same character or the same character that Deyemi played in one of his other projects in this project or in any new project that I see him in, but that wasn't the case. Deyemi delivered, and this chap that he played, can't remember the character's name, but it felt very different from the things that I've seen, the numerous things or characters that I've seen Deyemi play in the past. So kudos to him. Teni Aladese was also good. I can't talk about her character too much, I'd be giving stuff away, but she delivered on the assignment. Uche Montana delivered on the assignment as well. You remember Uche Montana from last week's review. She was Sugar in the movie Before Valentine's. So she's in this film as well. Now, Eso Dike is in this film. Real quick about Eso Dike, I'm in two minds about, the way they've stereotyped Eso's characters in Nollywood. Let me just say, first of all, that Eso is a great guy. I've met him a couple of times. Great chap. He's a cool dude. However, Nollywood seems to keep giving Eso a certain type of role, and I'm in two minds about it, because while I'm happy that Eso is getting regular work and he's highly sought after in Nollywood, I'm concerned about the effect this playing a certain type of character over and over again will have on his career in the long term. So while I am happy for him that he gets regular work, I'm concerned about him playing the same type of character, back to back to back. But I mean, even in Nollywood, in Hollywood, we've seen certain actors play certain kinds of characters, but they've outgrown that and they've diversified the kind of characters that they played. Case in point, Matthew McConaughey. There was a point where Matthew McConaughey would play, the love interest, lead man and whatnot in a lot of rom-coms, but he's diversified, and today Matthew McConaughey is an Oscar-winning actor. So I'm watching Eso Dike, and I'm interested in seeing how his career will evolve over the years. Now, I think I've covered the performances. Let's talk about what I liked. There are a number of things that I liked about this film, funny enough. The first thing being the colors. There was very interesting and intentional use of color in this film. It was a very colorful movie. Lighting was good and colorful. The costumes of the characters were colorful as well. I particularly like like how they introduced Deyemi's character when we see him for the first time. The angle that they took it from and the what he was wearing was interesting. I liked that. Nancy's costumes and colors were really, really nice as well. The color palettes of the main characters as well were quite good, and I noticed them. And by that I mean the main characters were synonymous with a set of colors, particularly in their scenes, and the scenes in their living areas, right? For example, there's a scene where they show Deyemi in his flat. He's wearing an ash t-shirt. His environment is also like a dark gray, and there's a cup of orange juice in front of him. I loved that contrast, and I loved how, you know, the colors really worked together in that scene. And there are a few of, you know, of those types of things here and there in the movie. They were clearly intentional with the colors, with the color palettes, and with the set design. Shout outs to the set design and the set designer of this film. Fantastic job. Bolanle's flat was a one bedroom. When I saw her bed pretty much in her living room, I was like, what kind of lazy set design is this? Why this? You know, but they filmed the happenings in Bolanle's flat from a number of different angles, to the extent that I actually forgot that the bedroom and the living room were essentially one room. You know, they tackled that room from several angles in very creative ways, and kudos to them. So those are the things that's like 5 things in one. So there was that. I also like the fact that this film was set during the lockdown / quarantine of 2020. That was bold. I haven't seen that many Nollywood films that were set in that time in our history, our recent history. The only one I can think of was Lockdown, which came out in 2020, which I really actually enjoyed. But I like the fact that they take this romance film and they set it in, you know, 2020 during the lockdown, when several things were going on in the world. I liked that. And I also like that they took a couple of risks in this film. They damaged 1 or 2 things intentionally in this film, and when it happens, I'm like, whoa, that must have cost money. And so they took a couple of risks, and I appreciated it. I was stunned when I saw the thing that was damaged in the film. And the last thing was the creative way they showed the passage of time in this film. I'll explain. Things happened in this film over the months that we were in quarantine in 2020, right? But they don't show you April, May, June, July, etc. like on the screen in text form. Instead, how they show you the passage of time was through a character who was expecting, you know, who was pregnant in the film. So pretty much in the beginning of the film, the character is pregnant, and towards the end of the film, the character, you know, reaches full term with the pregnancy, and that gives you an idea of, you know, the punctuations in the timeline of the movie. And I thought that was an intelligent way of showing the passage of time in the film. At first, that wasn't how I saw it. I was frustrated that I didn't know what was happening when in the film, but then on the drive home, it kind of clicks that was why they were showing us the pregnant woman. Pretty much. So that was intelligent on their part. I like the fact that they actually gave us, the viewers at home, a little bit of brain work to do on our part, which, you know, you don't get that often with Nollywood films. So yeah, I think I've been quite generous with the things that I liked about this film. Let me move on to what I didn't like about the movie. Now, the things I didn't like, first of all, they showed drone images of Lagos, and like I said, this was set in 2020 during the lockdown. There was no movement, if you guys remember, not just in Lagos, around the world. But in the drone images, we're seeing cars. It looked like business as usual in Lagos. So that was, I don't know if I can say that was an oversight, or they just didn't know how to get, you know, drone footage of empty streets of Lagos. But it was there, and I noticed it. I also didn't like the fact that the pandemic / the quarantine and lockdown wasn't a character of its own in the film. I felt like that was a missed opportunity, because it was so synonymous to our recent existence, and it was something that we all went through and we can all relate to. So I think the filmmakers the producers, writers, you know, directors, whoever, could have made a bit more effort in featuring the quarantine itself and the things associated with the 2020 quarantine in the film. But they didn't do that. Don't get me wrong, they did feature 1 or 2 things. I did see hand sanitizer, face masks, and whatnot, but there weren't, in my opinion, enough things symbolizing or representing the 2020 lockdown in the movie. For example, I would have appreciated it if they talked about, TikTok, because TikTok really blew up in 2020. I'd have appreciated it if they mentioned one or two social media trends, like, the Bob Daddy challenge and the Don't Rush challenge and whatnot, all those challenges that were happening back in 2020 and that were really big. I would have really liked it if one of them mentioned Zoom, in the film, because I didn't know about Zoom until 2020 during the lockdown, and that's when it really blew up and everyone was really into Zoom to keep in touch and to, keep working. So all those little details here and there, even this 6 feet distance thing, or the elbow greeting thing that we're doing in 2020. They did do fist bumps, yeah, but the main thing was the elbow thing, I think, that we're doing in 2020. They didn't do that. So all those things that were synonymous that with 2020, I feel if they had been put in the film, it would have given the film extra points. And really, at the end of the day, that's what makes that's the difference between a good filmmaker and a great filmmaker, in my opinion. The details, those minor details. They're minor details, but they have huge effects, if you ask me. And what else didn't I like? I did mention that the line delivery felt a bit robotic at certain points. Yes. Oh, this is meant to be something that I actually liked. I forgot to mention it in what I liked. How do I chip it into what I liked? Okay, I'll save it for the conclusion. Now, see this movie, Love in a Pandemic, if you want to see a romance type of film during this lovers period of February 2023 or beyond. It's not heavy on the romance and the love. It's a bit it's more of a drama. It's less of a comedy, but it does have romantic elements. But if you want to see something that's around love and romance, then see Love in a Pandemic. I don't know, that title just doesn't stick intuitively. In conclusion, guys, it was a good one. I actually do recommend it if you're willing to be patient with it, and if you are looking for a romance film that doesn't end in a conventional way. And that's the thing that I wanted to also mention, that I forgot to mention rather, in the things that I liked. It doesn't really end in a conventional way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. If I talk more than that, it will be spoiler territory. See it if you're a fan of Deyemi or Okalawon's, the lovely Nancy Isime or Teni Aladese or Eso Dike, then go and see this film in the cinema. There's something I wanted to say that is eluding me, and I know sometimes after I stop recording that these things come to my mind, so I'm trying to remember it before I switch off the camera. This is the first Akay Mason film that I've seen that I actually enjoyed and I actually give an approval, because the other ones I've seen, which I won't mention, you can Google Akay Mason's films, I wasn't really a fan of them, but this one, I actually won't mind seeing this movie again. So shout out to Akay Mason, and I'm glad to see the progression and the development in the filmmaking style. I don't know. You guys may see the film and you feel like I overhyped it. I appreciated secondary elements of this movie, not just the story, not just what they're getting at. I appreciated other things, and it did engage my mind. So those are the reasons why you see me being very excited about this film. If we're just going purely on the acting and the story itself, maybe it's just an average, film. That's maybe how you feel about it. So I'm just letting you know that if you're going by how I'm smiling in this review and you think it's going to be awesome, please just manage your expectations. Things are going so well. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this review, please like it by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. Now, on this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews. I also talk about relationships. To check out some of my past relationship videos, you can click the card in the corner of the screen. Just last week, I reviewed a couple of things on Netflix, The Plan and Before Valentine's. To check those out, you can check the description box down below, or you can click the card in the corner of the screen. It's probably in one of the playlists up there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy Valentine's, and I guess I will see you in my next video. Take care.